You kept it a secret, all of it. And I'm sitting here trying to figure out how you did it, how you carried all of that weight, all of that pain, all of those moments that should have broken you completely. And you never said a word. You smiled through it. You showed up. You performed normal so well that nobody even thought to ask if you were okay. And that's what's breaking my heart right now. Not what happened to you, though that's devastating enough, but the fact that you kept it all inside, that you decided somewhere along the way that your pain wasn't important enough to share, that your story didn't matter enough to tell, that you would rather carry the weight alone than risk being a burden to anyone else. I can feel it. I can feel the shift happening in you right now as you hear these words. There is something in the air, something that's finally, after years, actual years, starting to surface. Someone tried to break you, someone sent something toward you that they thought would be the final nail, the thing that would snuff your light out for good. And they sat back. They literally sat back and watched like it was entertainment, like they had front row seats to your destruction. But that's not what happened. That's not what happened at all. And here is what I'm sensing, and I need you to really feel into this, because this goes deeper. Whatever you went through, whatever that person did to you in the past, it left scars, real, lasting damage. And it took you so long, like so incredibly long, to put those pieces of yourself back together again. You had to rebuild from ash. You had to figure out who you were after someone tried to convince the entire world that you were the villain. After someone tried to paint you as unstable, as crazy, as the problem. They took your worst moments and used them as evidence of who you are, never stopping to consider why those moments happened in the first place, never asking what they did to create that version of you. But here is the thing that's wild, and this is what's making my heart hurt for you. You were not alone in being hurt. You were alone in being believed. The people around you, the ones who should have protected you, the ones who should have seen what was really happening. They were not just sitting on the sidelines staying neutral. They chose a side. They chose wrong. They made a choice to believe the narrative, to echo it, to amplify it. Maybe they were people you trusted. Maybe they were people you had known forever. And they looked at you and decided you were not worth defending. Some of them didn't even know the full story. Others, they knew exactly what was happening, and they turned their heads anyway. And that silence was just as damaging as the actual abuse. It was just slower, more insidious, because it came wrapped in concerned conversations and sideways glances and whispered doubts about your stability, your credibility, your worth. You started to believe them. That's the part nobody talks about. You started to wonder if maybe they were right. Maybe you were too much. Maybe you were the problem. Maybe if you had just been quieter, smaller, less complicated, none of it would have happened. And that's when the real damage sets in. Not when someone hurts you, but when you start to agree that you deserved it. When you start to apologize for existing. When you start to shrink yourself down so small that you become invisible to everyone, including yourself. Yeah, including yourself. Much worse that. I need you to understand something right now. You kept it a secret because you had to, not because you were weak, not because you were ashamed, but because you were surviving. You were doing what you had to do to get through the day. And that takes an incredible amount of strength. That takes an incredible amount of courage. You were in a survival mode. And survival mode doesn't leave room for processing, for sharing, for healing. It just leaves room for getting through the next hour, the next minute, the next breath. And here's what I keep coming back to. You are not like everyone else. You've never been like everyone else, not because you are better or worse, but because you have seen things, felt things, survived things that most people will never understand. You've been to places in your own mind that you thought you'd never escape from. You've looked at yourself in the mirror and not recognized the person staring back. You have wondered if you would ever feel normal again, and you're still here. You're still showing up. You're still trying. That's not nothing. That's everything. The exposure has been happening gradually, pieces coming together, people finally connecting dots that should have been obvious all along. And those people, the ones who fed you to the wolves, they are starting to feel something. They are starting to feel really uncomfortable. Not uncomfortable because they suddenly care about what happened to you. Uncomfortable because they are realizing what they did. Because they are realizing that they participated in something ugly. They stood on the wrong side. They chose the wrong person. And now they have to live with that. They have to look at themselves in the mirror and know exactly what they are capable of. Let me paint you a picture because I think you need to see this play out. The person who tried to destroy you, their mask is literally melting. It's not happening on their schedule. It's not something they can control anymore. People are looking back at the things they said about you, the accusations, the character attacks, the way they questioned your sanity instead of their own conscience. And they are realizing something. They are realizing that they got played, that they were too quick to judge without even asking for one piece of evidence. They didn't say, wait, let me understand what actually happened. They just said, okay, if you say so, that person's the villain. And they ran with it. it's really hitting me is the hypocrisy of it all. These were people who talked constantly about being good people, who practiced daily affirmations, who spoke about community and connection and supporting each other. And at the same time, they were actively working against you. They were spreading your name around like it was synonymous of with shame. They were making sure you stayed small. They were blocking your opportunities, slandering your name, isolating you. They did it all while feeling righteous about it. They told themselves a story where they were protecting someone, where they were on the right side of a story. But here's where it gets really interesting. That story they told themselves, it's rooting from the inside out. And now the wider community, the people who were not part of that inner circle, who made gut-fed scraps of information and just believed it because it came from sources they trusted, they are waking up. They are actually paying attention now. They are looking at the evidence. They are reading between the lines. And they are having this moment where they realize, I have been lied to. I have been so carefully manipulated and didn't even recognize it. This is the moment where everything changes. Because when the innocent majority realizes that the pillars of the community, the people who seemed so trustworthy, so morally upright, are actively motivated by money and status and control, it shakes everything. It rewrites the narrative. It makes people question every single thing they have been told. Every single judgment they've made about you. Every single time they hesitated to help you. Because they were not sure of if you were the problem. And you know what's happening to those people now? The ones who were loudest in condemning you, they are becoming very, very quiet. The ones who said it with such certainty are now experiencing this creeping dread, this anxiety that will not go away because they know what's coming. They know that people are going to see them clearly now. People are going to understand what they actually are beneath the mask of niceness. And that terrifies them. Because the thing about losing control of a narrative is that it happens fast. One person starts asking questions, then another person decides to actually look for answers. Someone finds proof, real concrete evidence of what actually happened. And suddenly it's not about he said, she said anymore. Suddenly it's documented. Suddenly it's undeniable. That's it. That's the whole story. What I'm picking up on is that there was someone, maybe someone close to one of these community members, maybe someone they were trying to protect for personal reasons, money, I guess. And that person did something to you that was real dark, something that caused real trauma. And when you tried to speak about it, when you tried to tell your truth, these protectors came out of nowhere and attacked you instead of holding the person accountable. They made it about defending someone they loved instead of defending what was right. You know that scene in A Few Good Men, when the truth finally comes out in the cartoon, where everyone realizes they have been protecting a lie. They have been defending the indefensible. They have been choosing loyalty to an institution or a person over actual justice and actual humanity. That's what's happening in your community right now. Except this isn't a movie cartoon. It's real life. And the exposure is happening in slow motion. People are having their own version of that moment, where they realized they made the wrong choice. They stood on the wrong side. And now they have to live with that. The contrast is hitting me so hard right now. You went through something genuinely devastating. And instead of getting support, instead of having people believe you and stand with you, you got isolation, you got blamed, you got labeled as unstable, and as angry, as vindictive, as someone making things up for attention. Meanwhile, the actual person who caused the damage, they were protected. They were defended. They were given the benefit of the doubt while you were stripped of yours. But now, and this is what I need you to really sit with it, let sink in. Now people are paying attention. Now, when you share something about your life, about the space you have created that they cannot even access, it hits them. Because you didn't get smaller, you didn't get bitter, you didn't get let their narrative become your identity. You kept going, you kept building, you started radiating something different. Not anger, not revenge, you never were that person. Just a quiet, steady knowing that you are okay, that you are going to be okay, that you don't need them to validate you anymore. And that's infinitely more powerful than anything they can do. That's when the guilt really sets in. That's when some of them start feeling the pull toward you, not because they suddenly care about you. No, but because they are desperate to make sure you do not expose them further. Some of them are going to try to reach out. They are going to look for you to like your old photos on social media. They are going to send you messages about how they are sorry they were not there for you. They are going to offer you things, try to do you favors, attempt to buy their way back into your good graces. And I want you to be really clear about something. They are not doing this because they are sorry. They are doing this because they are scared. They are scared of what's going to happen if you decide to make things official. If you decide to speak your truth publicly. If you decide to let the world know what really happened. The simple act of making something that was whispered and hidden and covered up out loud, making it a matter of record, making it so that the truth cannot be rewritten again. That idea terrifies them because they have spent so long controlling the story. You see, in their minds, they made choices based on incomplete information. Or maybe they knew more than they let on. Maybe they saw red flags and just looked the other way because it was easier. Because getting involved would have been complicated because they didn't want to lose their status standing in their community. Because the person they were protecting was someone important to them. And it felt safer to sacrifice you than to hold that person accountable. So they made peace with that choice, or they tried to. But you cannot actually make peace with something like that. You can only pretend. And eventually, when the truth comes out, when people finally understand what actually happened, that pretend peace shatters. And suddenly they are faced with the reality of who they actually are. Not the story they told, but the actual choices they made, the actual person they hurt, the actual wrong they participated in. The timing of this is so important too. This isn't a new development. This isn't something they came out of nowhere. This has been building. Maybe someone finally felt brave enough to speak up. Maybe evidence surfaced that cannot be denied. Maybe enough people started asking enough questions that the walls finally started cracking. But this moment you're in right now, this is the culmination of something that's been in motion for a long time. Think about a volcano for a second. Deep underground, pressure's been building for years. Nobody can see it happening. It's silent, it's hidden, it's invisible, but it's there. Everyone knows that. It's real, and then one day the pressure becomes so intense, so overwhelming that the volcano cannot contain it anymore. And everything that was underground comes violently to the surface. And that pressure has to go somewhere. And when it does, the entire landscape changes forever. That was happening to the people who hurt you. They have been sitting on this lie, this narrative, this abuse for so long. They have been containing it, controlling it, managing it. But the pressure, the weight of the actual truth, it builds underneath everything. And when it finally erupts, everyone sees that what was always there. Everyone sees. Everyone understands the damage that happened beneath the surface. And there is nowhere to hide anymore. The volcano doesn't care about your reputation, doesn't care about your image or your status, your money or your place in the community. It just erupts. And that's exactly what the truth is doing right now. And the community is having a collective realization. The people who are genuinely good, who have genuine values, who have genuine principles, they are looking at what happened and they are ashamed. Not just ashamed that they didn't do more, though that's part of it, but ashamed that they were part of a system that allowed this to happen. Ashamed that they let themselves be swayed by social pressure and group dynamics. Ashamed that they stayed quiet when they could have spoken up. Some of them are going to come toward you. They are going to want to make amends. And here's what I need you to know. You don't owe them forgiveness. You don't owe them access to your healing journey. You don't owe them a chance to feel bad about themselves. If they want to apologize, that's their work to do. If they want to make it right, that's their journey. Your job isn't to make them feel okay about what they did. Your job is to take care of yourself. Because here is the real transformation that's happening. And I want you to see it clearly. You came through something that was designed to destroy you. I want to say it gently. You didn't just survive it. You actually built something better on the other side of it. You figured out who you are when you cannot rely on anyone else's validation. You learned what your own voice sounds like when you are not performing for an audience. You became the version of yourself that never needs their approval because you already know your own worth. That's not a small thing, that's actually everything. The people who hurt you, who isolated you, who chose sides against you, they are stuck. They are still operating in that old system of control and performance and group dynamics and fear. They are still trying to figure out how to manage their image and protect their reputation and maintain their place in whatever social hierarchy they are obsessed with. But you are free. You are already moving forward. You are already building the next thing. You are already becoming the person you are meant to be. And that disparity is only going to grow as more people understand what actually happened, as more people see clearly, as more truth comes out. They are going to feel smaller and smaller. They're going to watch you succeed. And it's going to feel like a failure on their part. They are going to see you thriving, and it's going to remind them of the choice they made, the side they picked, the harm they allowed to happen. And here's what matters right now. You know the truth. You know the truth. The people who matter are starting to understand the truth. The narrative that was built to destroy you is falling apart, not because you are fighting anymore, because it was always fragile. Lies have a shelf life. They only work if everyone keeps agreeing to believe them. And once enough people start asking questions, once enough people start looking for actual evidence instead of just accepting what they were told, the whole thing collapses. That's how it works. So right now, in this moment, you get to make a choice. You can engage with the people reaching out. You can decide who you want to allow back into your life and on what terms. You can choose whether to speak your truth publicly or keep it private. You can decide what justice looks like for you. But here's what I know for certain. Whatever you decide, you are deciding from a place of clarity now. You are not making choices based on survival anymore. You are making choices based on what actually serves you and only you. That's real power. That's actually what they feared all along. Not your pain, not your anger, not even your story. They feared your power. They feared what would happen if you ever fully believed in yourself. Because the moment you did, the moment you stopped needing them to validate you, the whole system fell apart. And that's exactly what's happening right now. I know you felt invisible in that darkness. I know you felt like no one could see you, like no one understood what you were going through. But I want you to know I see you now. I see everything you've been carrying. I see the weight that you have been holding on your shoulders. I see the battles you fought alone. I see the strength that it took to keep going when everything inside you wanted to give up. You were not just surviving. You were fighting a war no one else knew about. And you kept it secret because you had to, because sharing it would have meant reliving it. Because speaking it out loud would have made it too real. Because you didn't know if anyone would believe you anyway. But here's the truth. Here's the thing. Your secret isn't a burden anymore. We are all carrying it with you now. Everyone who hears your story, everyone who understands what you went through, they are with you. They are on your side. They are holding space for you. And that changes everything. Because you are not alone anymore. You never were. You just didn't know it yet. I'm shocked by what you have been through. I'm genuinely shocked. Not because I didn't think you were strong enough to survive it, but because I cannot believe anyone would put you through that in the first place. I cannot believe that people who were supposed to love you, protect you, support you, turned their backs on you when you needed them the most. I cannot believe that you had to go through something so devastating and you had to go through it alone. I cannot believe that you are still here, you are still standing, still breathing. You are still choosing to be kind, to be open, to be vulnerable, even after everything that was done to you. That's not weakness, that's grace. And that's the kind of strength that most people will never understand. Most people will never have to fight the battles you fought. Most people will never have to rebuild themselves from scratch the way you did. Most people will never have to look at themselves in the mirror and wonder if they are going to make it through the next day. But you did. You made it. And you are not just surviving anymore. You are thriving. You are building something new. You are creating a life that reflects who you really are, not who they told you to be. And that is the most beautiful part of this whole story. You didn't let them win. You didn't let them break you. You took all of that pain, all of that betrayal, all of that isolation, and you turned it into something powerful. You turned it into fuel. You turned it into purpose. You turned it into a reason to keep going, to keep fighting, to keep believing that there is something better on the other side. And there is. Yeah, there is so much better. There is so much more waiting for you. There is a version of you that hasn't even been born yet. Yeah. A version of you that is freedom, free from the weight of all of this. A version that can breathe without it hurting. A version that can trust again, that can love again, that can let people in without waiting for the betrayal to come. And I'm in tears for you, not because I feel sorry for you, because I am so incredibly proud of you. I'm in tears because I know what it took to get here. I know the battles you fought. I know the nights you spent wondering if you would ever feel okay again. I know the moments when you wanted to give up. And I know that somehow, despite all of that, you kept going, you kept showing up. You kept believing that there was something worth fighting for. You kept it a secret because you had to. But you don't have to keep it a secret anymore. You don't have to carry this weight alone. You don't have to pretend you're okay when you're not. You don't have to shrink yourself down to make other people comfortable. You can speak your truth. You can take up space. You can be seen and heard and believed. And that changes everything. I want you to close your eyes for a moment. I want you to imagine the version of you that is free. Yeah, imagine the version of you that doesn't carry this weight anymore. Imagine the version of you that can trust again, that can love again, that can be vulnerable without waiting for rejection to come. That version of you exists. That version of you is waiting. And the only thing standing in the way is the belief that you don't deserve it. The belief that you are broken. The belief that you are too damaged to be loved. The belief that you have to keep carrying this weight because no one else will. But you are not broken. You never were broken. You were hurt. You were wounded. You were betrayed. But you were never broken. And every day that you've survived, every day that you have kept going, every day that you have chosen to keep your heart open, despite everything that was done to you, you have proven that. You've proven that you are stronger than what happened to you. You've proven that you are more than the story they tried to write for you. You are the author of your own life now. And you get to decide how it ends. Continues, actually. So I want you to do something for me. I want you to take a breath, a deep breath. And I want you to feel your lungs fill with air. I want you to feel your heart beating in your chest. I want you to feel the life that is still inside you. I want you to feel the strength that has been there all along. And I want you to know that you are not alone. You have never been alone. You have just been waiting for someone to see you. And I see you. See every part of you. The parts you are proud of and the parts you have tried to hide. The parts that are healed and the parts that are still healing. I'm not trying. I'm not running away. I'm not turning my back. I'm staying. I'm holding space. I'm believing you. You kept it all secret for so long, but you don't have to keep it anymore. You don't have to carry this weight alone. You can't let it go. You can let it go. You can release it. You can give yourself permission to heal, to move on, to become the person you were always meant to be. And I'm going to be right here, cheering you on, holding space for you, reminding you that you are not broken, you are not forgotten, you are not alone, you are seen, you are loved, you are worthy. And your story is not over, it's just beginning.